Hello, football fans. Welcome back to Goalside. Every so often, a star is born. No, we're not talking about constellations or astronomy in any way. We're talking about football, our favorite sport, the beautiful game that we follow so faithfully and enjoy so much. Footballers don't have it easy when they're playing their big debut. Thousands of fans in the stands, both supporters and rivals, with millions more at home, watching their every move, every single person judging them with each touch, each pass, and shot that they make in the minutes they get to impress the coach and the team. It's a moment of absolute pressure, which can either serve to build character in a young player or destroy them completely. Lionel Messi's famous debut against Espanyol at 17, Wayne Rooney's incredible hat-trick in a debut against Fenerbahce, Romelu Lukaku, who has scored on his league debuts for Anderlecht, West Bromwich, Albion, Everton, Manchester United, and now Inter. There are some players who shine when the pressure is at its highest and show the world the stuff that champions are made of. On August 25th, 2019, the shining light of a new star lit up on the legendary pitch of the Camp Nou in Catalonia. Born in Bissau, capital of Guinea-Bissau, Ansu Fati Vieira, who had been chosen for FC Barcelona's La Liga match against Real Betis, only 24 hours after having signed his first professional contract with the Catalan side and barely digesting everything that was happening, was called by Valverde to replace Carles Perez at the 78th minute of the match. At the tender age of 16, he would be the second youngest player ever to make a debut for FC Barcelona. Pushing back all of his nerves as the Camp Nou erupted in cheers and applause at the sound of his name, the young Guinean immediately took control of his role, his quick and careful feet dribbling past defenders and making the short passes necessary for any Barcelona star. It was as if he had been playing in the first team for years, despite it being the very first few minutes of his professional career. The crowd would gasp and cheer as only moments later, he had fired off his first shot, a ball that beat the keeper and barely skidded past the far post. No goals or assists came in that match, but both the FC Barcelona crowd and the footballing world knew that something big was coming from this La Masia Academy graduate. The following match came on the 31st of August, a tricky away fixture against mid-table Osasuna. It certainly wasn't easier for Valverde's side, who saw his side go into halftime in a losing position, with Osasuna having scored their leading goal in the 7th minute of the match. Desperate for ideas and hoping not to get a bad result that could quickly lead the supporters to grow furious with him, as they had at the end of the 2018-19 season, Valverde spotted Fati on the bench and knew that his pace, dribbling, and dangerous attacking style was needed. As the match restarted, Nelson Semedo was called off with Ansu Fati coming on. It proved to be a managerial masterstroke. Immediately injecting pace and tricky movement into the left wing position, Ansu put Osasuna's right side in trouble as the defenders were forced to come out repeatedly to attempt to stop him. Their efforts were brave, but they wouldn't keep him out forever. A wonderful Carles Perez cross would ensure that. Bursting up the right side of the pitch and cutting in just outside of the box, Perez's cross flew straight at Fati's head at pace, with the Guinean only needing to jump up between two defenders and head it past the keeper to score. Running to the corner flag to celebrate, his teammates gathered around him in respect as the club's senior team's youngest goal scorer ever received the cheers and applause of the traveling fans, while many commentators remarked on how wonderful this youngster was turning out to be. He was also the third youngest scorer in La Liga history after Fabrice Olinga and Iker Munian. Impressive, but true. The rest of the game passed by, and while another goal was soon canceled out by an Osasuna equalizer, which ended the game 2-2, the young player soon realized that his appetite was just beginning to grow, and that he would soon need more goals and assists. Both would come almost immediately afterwards. It was as if the player was summoning the strength of FC Barcelona's legends themselves to turn the fate of his team around and save them from bad results. It was in the following match when Fati activated the beast mode, potential he carried within him. A match where Barcelona were going to face one of the strongest sides in La Liga and the winners of the bitter 2019 Copa del Rey final in which Barcelona had fallen, Valencia Club de Futbol, a side which has recently started to look as deadly as it did in the early 2000s when they reached 2 UEFA Champions League finals and won both a UEFA Cup and a UEFA Super Cup. The match started, and with it started Ansu, finally picked by Valverde to start in the lineup that would face the third most supported Spanish team in the world. It was a game of the highest level for him, and with it came expectations. Many wondered in those final minutes as the match approached if he was ready for what was coming. The kickoff arrived, and only 2 minutes later, Ansu Fati was making headlines across the world of football. It was magnificent. His teammate, Frenkie de Jong, was cleverly finding space around the edge of the box, holding the ball for a second as he awaited support in the penalty area, when Ansu spotted the small space located between two defenders. To many other players, it would have looked like a pinhole. To Ansu, it was as if a massive gateway had opened for him to make his run and shoot. Sprinting into the box and preparing his feet to receive the pass that had just left de Jong's feet, Ansu fired low and hard at the keeper's left side. The ball flew past CSN, the same keeper who played for FC Barcelona for the past 3 years and who had been sold to Valencia just a few months before for 35 million euros. making the net ripple and the crowd stand as one, roaring as the first goal came and Ansu Fati blew their minds away once more. But he wasn't done yet, oh no. It wasn't even 5 minutes later when he pulled off a feat that would put him in the historic record books. Again. It was as if all he wanted was to break all the records at this point. Bursting up the left wing and receiving a pinpoint pass from Jordi Alba behind him, Ansu twisted and turned in front of 3 defenders that came to meet him. They thought he was planning to cut back and shoot a goal, but he had other plans. Looking up, he saw the player he was expecting. De Jong had assisted Fati for his first goal, so now it was time to pay the Dutchman back with a perfect pass his way. As he sprinted into the box, De Jong fired the ball up in center behind the keeper, with Salisen having nothing to do against such a shot. It was all the crowd needed to scream in exhilaration. A goal and an assist in 7 minutes. A 16-year-old dispatching one of the strongest sides in La Liga history with ease. It was his first start, and he was becoming the youngest player in the history of La Liga to score and assist in a single match. He was clearly not just another young star, but was rapidly becoming something else, something more. Even then, with a goal and an assist to his name, Ansu continued attacking, creating chances, dribbling and sending powerful shots at the Valencian goal. He was hungry, as mentioned earlier, and he could sense weakness in the Valencia team that could be exploited. Continuing to provide an attacking presence for his team, the match finally ended with a positive 5-2 result. The goals coming from Pique and 2 from Suarez, with Kevin Gameiro and Maximiliano Gomez's goals for Valencia did little to stop the damage. After the match, it was as if social media couldn't find anything to talk about. It was all Ansu Fati and the incredible goal and assist he had notched against Valencia. A young star had been allowed the chance to shine, and he was shining all right. Talk would rapidly begin as to what national team he had chosen, since he had a couple of options in choosing which country he would represent in international competitions, and the inevitable question surrounding his future at the club. Still, many wanted to know who this magnificent young player was, and to be honest, it's important that you know as well. It might be of value when he becomes a star player in world football, as it seems will probably be the case. Born in Bissau, in the far western African nation of Guinea-Bissau, Ansu was born to ex-footballer Bori Fati, who immigrated to Europe in search of a better life for himself and his family. After initially suffering bad times in Portugal, Bori soon found solace in helping his son train to become a footballer just like he had been, and a regime of football enlightenment training began in the Spanish municipality of Herrera, found in the province of Seville. Ansu's siblings, Brema and Miguel, were also footballers, and this pushed the youngster harder than ever to improve. He began his football career precisely at Herrera, where he played for the youth and local sides, clearly seeking to aspire to bigger things despite providing results for these almost insignificant teams. It wasn't until he was 10 that this dream came true in 2012. Having sent a scout out to hunt for young raw talent, Ansu Fati was spotted and studied with La Masia, FC Barcelona's academy, soon also getting involved. He began playing for the Blaugrana's academy soon after, following in the footsteps of his brother, who had also become part of FC Barcelona's star-studded player factory. It wouldn't be until 2019 when the Catalans approached Fati with a serious proposal. Everything progressed quickly and effectively, and on July 24, 2019, Fati became an FC Barcelona player, in a deal that would ensure his services until at least 2022. It was a bold move by the Culés, but which now looks like it was paying off extremely well. But it gets even more incredible in this amazing story of a boy footballer who transformed his life and career overnight. Having never been interested in representing his birth country on an international level, since he never lived in Guinea-Bissau long enough to form a bond with the country, Ansu Fati renounced his Guinean citizenship and welcomed his new Spanish citizenship with pride, reminding everybody that he was a civilian. Frankly, if there is a story that children and teenagers would love to see come true in football, it's usually one like Ansu Fati's. Talent from his early childhood who becomes a truly wonderful player and gains tons of fame practically overnight, before scoring crucial goals in different matches for a European giant. It definitely crosses off quite a few checkboxes that youngsters dream of. However, if Ansu Fati is to continue growing as a football star, he will have to learn to keep the fame and glory from getting to his head. There's a lot more to go, and many famous young stars have gotten to this point only to crumble under pressure further ahead. If Ansu Fati has the maturity and self-belief that many other FC Barcelona players have possessed, it's time he showed it and convinced the skeptics that he is the real deal. If he can pull this off, he'll be one of the biggest football names in the next decade. We hope you've enjoyed this tale about Ansu Fati. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. We'll see you right here in the next video on Goalside.